Good morning, Nathan East.
Good morning. Ohayou gozaimasu.
Ohayou gozaimasu. And thank you very much for being in the studio with us this morning.
It is my pleasure to be here.
You're here primarily this time as the bassist in Eric Clapton's touring band, which is the first time you've been doing that for quite some years now.
It's been about 10 years since we've played together.
It's been 10.
Now. Yes.
Did Eric give you any idea why he decided to reconvene or to convene this particular band this time?
Well, I think throughout his career he's used different configurations of musicians, and then now I think this is a bit of a celebration of some of, various musicians that he's used. Steve Gadd,
right,
Paul Carrick, and Chris Stainton.
Paul, I guess, is maybe the first time on a world tour?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think this is Paul's first Japanese visit to Japan.
Right, yeah.
So that's, and I love Paul.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with Paul in any other bands
This
before?
is my first time.
Okay.
And I am a fan.
Yeah.
I just heard how long.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I actually remember that from when it first came out. I love that song.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me too.
Uh-huh. How did you actually get to work with Eric Clapton in the first place? For some reason, Nathan East and Eric Clapton were not two names that particularly would seem to mesh to me until you did work with him. But well, going back, when was it the first time?
We're going back to 1983.
Wow, that's 30 years ago.
The Behind the Sun CD.
Okay.
It was the first time we actually recorded music together. And then after that, we did, Phil Collins was producing one of his albums called August, and Tom Dowd. And so we played on that record, and that was the beginning of the touring band with Phil Collins, Eric, myself, and Greg Fillinganes. And that was the mid-'80s. And we toured, then from there, we've toured about 20 years together.
Right. And you were telling me just earlier on that you'd actually lived in London for a while, and you'd worked with a lot of English bands in the 80s.
In the 80s, yes. And I love London, and I've always had, a great time there. Mm-hmm. Especially in the 80s, the music scene was very progressive and lots going on, lots of different kind of genres going on, and it was really a fertile period in music.
Right. I mean, things changed a lot in the 1980s. I mean, for somebody like you who was born in the 1950s and went through all of the 60s and the 70s music, there was a distinct change, I think, in the 80s. Did you feel that?
I think so. I think there were different movements. The punk movement that, I used to go down the King's Road and noticed all the spiked hairs, styles and everything. And it just seemed like, people were still discovering. And much like in the 60s and 70s, it just seems the progression was really had a lot of energy associated with it.
I want to play a piece of music. I think you may have been playing bass on this. Let's just ask you.
Oh, yes.
Is this you?
Yes. This is my buddy. Wow. Took a second.
I've always been rather partial to this groove.
You know what? I almost remember the day we recorded this. It was because Barry would go around and give each player his part. So he'd just come over to sing your part to you. Boom, boom, boom. He said, "You play this, Nick." Boom, boom, boom. And then that's it. And he, all of his lines were very hooky, and many times I say I went to Barry White University because he really knew how to craft a bass line and a song.
He had some really good grooves, this guy.
Oh, fantastic. And I haven't heard this in ages.
This is Satin Soul by, is it Barry White or is it Love Unlimited Orchestra? I'm not quite sure.
I think it's Barry White and the Love Unlimited Orchestra.
Okay. And you would have been, what, in your very early 20s at the time? Or?
Yeah, I'm maybe even in my late teens.
Oh, really? It's going back that far.
Wow. Unbelievable.
So, I mean...
This is prior to me moving to L.A. I used to drive from San Diego to L.A. to do these sessions with Barry. We'd record, we'd be in the studio every day. And then I'd go home at 5 and I'd drive down and do my night gig in San Diego, and then do the same thing the next morning.
So were you working with him sort of semi full time or
semi?
Okay.
Yes.
And what was your night gig in San Diego?
Well, I was at the Hilton Cargo Bar, and I was in a band called the People Movers, and we'd play there 5 nights a week. So many nights after we got off at about 1:32 in the morning, I would just jump in my truck, drive up to the studio in LA, and then sleep in front of it. You know, I put a little bed in the back of my pickup truck.
Uh-huh.
So and those are very fond memories. You know, when you do anything to kind of get in there and be in situations like this.
So working with Barry White was what got you first noticed in any kind of big way?
Pretty much the band was people like Ray Parker, Lee Ritenour, and a lot of the LA session guys that were really doing a lot of work.
Really? Those people were all with Barry White back in the mid-70s?
Exactly.
Oh, interesting.
You know, wah-wah. And the problem was he wouldn't put the musicians' names on the album so that people couldn't steal his sound. So that was his reasoning, you know, don't display who's here making these hits because I don't want everybody else to call these same guys.
Oh, wow.
So unlucky for us.
Just let me translate some of this. 70年代半ばにネイさんは今かけてるバリー・ワイトの、バンドでフルタイムではなく半分ぐらいまだすごく若かった時で20歳になるかならないかぐらいなんですけど、サンディエゴに住んでて、もう毎日のように LA にバリー・ワイトの仕事をしに行って夜にまたホテルのバーで働いてたサンディエゴの仕事に戻ってそれが終わったらまた自分のピックアップトラックで LA に戻ってスタジオの前で、トラックを止めてそのトラックの荷台にベッドが乗っててそのベッドで寝てたっていう、もうそういう若い時期だったんですね。でバリー・ワイトの当時のバンドに例えばレイ・パーカーだとかリー・リテナワーとかその後に相当有名な人たちがいたんですがバリー・ワイトは自分のサウンドを人に取られたくないから一切ミュージシャンのクレジットをレコードに載せなかったっていうんですね。Interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What's the name of this song?
Satin Soul.
Okay. I have to look this up because this is taking me right back.
Oh, really?
It's unbelievable. Good memories, though.
Oh, good to hear. After that, I mean, you've worked on I was looking on All Music Guide just to look at some of the things you'd played on. There was just so many. It's insane.
It's embarrassing almost.
I mean, do you actually have much memory of all the sessions you've played on?
You know, I do, especially they've all been really good as well. You know, I mean, there haven't been too many that I haven't loved and appreciated, but most of them I have a place, you know, in my mind that, you know, very special place.
Are there any that really stand out? You know, God, I'm really glad I played on this one.
Well, sure, the iconic ones were with, you know, like all the Clapton albums and Phil Collins, you know. And
did Phil Collins introduce you to Clapton in the first place?
Yes.
He did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we were working on Phil Bailey's album in the early 80s and Easy Lover and all that stuff. And he took me around to the pub out in the country in Guilford and, you know, we introduced me to Eric.
Okay. So Phil Bailey's album was done in England as well, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Very fond memories of that because we'd stay out not far from where Phil Collins lived. And, you know, I just remember the English countryside and coming into Phil would pick us up and take Philip and myself to the studio in the townhouse in Goldhawk Road, Shepherd's Bush, every day so just... For me, it was just a fun experience staying out in the country, and I'd go out and walk in the morning, and then Phil pick us up and drive to the studio at these ungodly speeds. But it just was a great time, again, just to be part of the music scene and being over there in London. And Phil had his first #1 hit with Against All Odds. The day we went into the studio, it went #1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's kind of say, okay, I'm in good company here.
そもそもエリック・クラプトンに紹介してくれたのがフィル・コリンズだったんですね。でフィル・コリンズがフィリップ・ベイリーのEasy Lover をプロデュースしていたんですがそれもイギリスで行われたセッションでそれもネイさんが 参加していたんですね。とにかく無数のセッションをこれまで行ってきたんだけど、もうある意味これだけもう多すぎてちょっと恥ずかしい感じがするぐらいだけど、でも本当にね、自分が好きな音楽ばかりやらせてもらえたから、とっても良かったと思っているという話をしてました。We should talk a little bit about your brand new solo album, which is just about to come out, and which is the main reason why you're here in the studio this morning, of course. It's taken you a long time to get round to doing a solo album. You've been playing for so long now.
Right.
Have anybody suggested to you before that you should do one?
For the last 25 years.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, to the point where they stopped suggesting because it just didn't take until so long, you know. I mean, but all of my friends, Bob James and all my Fourplay partners have said, Nate, it's time for your record, you know. So finally, after all this time, we finally, and as you can see that I've been very busy up until now. So
yeah.
That's probably my biggest, at least I can use that as an excuse
okay.
for not doing it.
When did you actually start making the record?
I started about a year ago in pre-production, and our first studio day was July 9 of 2013. So
okay.
We started tracking for about an 8-9 day period in Los Angeles in July, and we just finished up the last mix and master, I think, end of January. It was actually Oda Kazumasa's song that he wrote for me for this project, and I was very happy to, you know, collaborate with him on that.
Let's go ahead and play a track from the album. Are there any particular ones that you would like to play on the show this morning?
Well, how much time do we have?
You want to play Madiba?
Madiba would be great. I mean,
well, no, when you said how much time do we have, it's the longest song on the album.
Exactly, it's over 8 minutes. So I know that's not a radio single, but actually, yeah, there's Can't Find is good. I mean, I'm partial to every one of them. Yesterday was My Son, you know, and that's a nice, quick, short piece.
The only one here, or one of the only ones that doesn't have a guest mentioned on it is Can't Find My Way Home, which you just mentioned. Is that you singing on that?
That's me singing on that.
Oh, let's play that then.
Okay, great.
Okay, I didn't know you were a singer as well. Okay, Can't Find My Way Home.
And that's Eric playing guitar on that as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so.
That was Can't Find My Way Home from Nathan East's solo album. It's just called Nathan East, right?
Yes.
And it's got Higashi written in between the two names.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And Eric Clapton playing guitar on that as well. And you were saying that you actually sang that on past tours with Eric.
Yes.
Several times, presumably.
Several times, yes.
Okay. Including one time when Steve Winwood was in the audience at the Albert Hall in London.
Actually in the audience, unbeknownst to me, but I'm glad I didn't know, because that would have been pretty nerve-wracking. Yeah, we had a good time. Actually, one time we used the London Philharmonic, and so I had them as the backing bands for that song as well. It was an amazing feeling.
I could imagine, yeah.
Amazing.
Was that recorded?
I think it was. Somewhere there's a recording. I think it might be on YouTube as well.
Oh, really? Okay,
yes.
I have to look for that.
Yeah.
There's a track on the album called Daft Funk, featuring Ray Parker. And I didn't realize, somebody just told me this morning, you played on Get Lucky.
Yes.
How did that happen? Who invited you in on that? Was it the
Daft Punk?
It was.
Yes.
It wasn't Nile Rodgers.
No, it actually was Daft Punk, even prior to Nile being involved. Yeah, so I did most of the record.
Oh, you did? Oh, I see.
Yes. And that song, once Niall got on Get Lucky, then I redid the bass to kind of match his guitar part, which just put it into a whole nother gear.
Okay.
Yeah. So sort of my Chic impersonation or the Bernard Edwards. But yeah, that little did anybody know that song would become the summer anthem.
I was going to ask you, did you have any idea how big a hit it was going to be?
Not whatsoever. I mean, I knew that it was just...
Go ahead.
In the studio, I knew the feeling and the spirit was just great. You know, everybody's dancing, and it was really a great, energetic piece. But I mean, every day we go into the studio and try to make good music, you know, so it was no different than any other day going to work. But the response to the song was amazing, you know, around the world.
Yeah. I mean, the groove of it must have had, you know, something. I mean, even I guess in the studio when you're doing your bit, maybe the vocals weren't on yet, it wasn't mixed, so you don't know how it's going to sound in the end.
Yeah, they're pretty much, you know, they have the computers and tape machines and everything's being recorded, and then they go back and kind of mash it all together. And
okay, so you don't really have
so
much of a clue of how it's going to sound.
No, you don't have the lyrics, and the end product is not there, but all you're doing is kind of trying to create this track that's just magical.
Okay, and presumably, I mean, I don't really think about this much, but as a bass player, when you're playing sessions for most people, it's going to be the same thing. You're in there when the basic rhythm is going down.
Right.
And all of the other stuff, well, a lot of the other stuff is going to go in on top of that, and then it's going to get mixed. So a lot of the times when you're on these sessions, you probably don't really have much of an idea what the record's going to sound like.
You're pretty much using your imagination, you know, unless the entire band, singer, everything is in the studio and you're making the song, you know, all at the same time. You really don't have a clue of what's going to go on top of it, you know, which later is at the discretion of the producer.
Right. Making your own record, did you try to get people playing in the same room?
Yes, as much as, but matter of fact, the whole record is all live performances. There are no kind of synthesizers, overdubs. It's all...
oh, really?
Yeah, it's all live, and it's also similar to what Daft Punk did. We recorded to 2-inch tape. Ooh. So we have the analog sound that gives, you know, just a little more, you know, air and a little fatter sound to the bass and everything.
Where did you record?
We recorded at Ocean Way Studios in Los Angeles. One of my favorite rooms. Done many projects there over the years. And it was it's a comfortable room to track in, and we tracked the whole record there. And then we went to Nashville, Ocean Way, and recorded strings and orchestra there.
And it's coming out here in Japan almost... Is it already out?
19th of March.
19th of March?
Yes.
Okay, so we're still 3 weeks away. Okay. And
coming soon.
Coming out in Japan before anywhere else?
Before everywhere else.
Okay.
A week before the rest of the world.
Okay. Let's play a little bit more of something to go out with. Going to have to say goodbye very quickly because we're going to have to go to a break. But It is the longest track on the album, but I found Madiba a very attractive piece. Let's play some of it at the very least. This is featuring David Paich, and Madiba, of course, refers to Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
Was he a very important person for you?
I think he was important for all of us.
Absolutely.
and definitely an iconic role model as a human being, you know. So for me, yes. And also, before we go, I'd like to just say thanks to all my friends here in Japan that have given me messages on Facebook, on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Nathan East, because it's really fun to keep in touch with them here.
Okay, thank you very much. 皆さん分かったと思いますけれど、ネイさんの Facebook のページに書き込んでくれる人たちに感謝すると、最後に、おっしゃってました。じゃあ今、そろそろお別れしなきゃいけないんですけれど、彼のアルバムからネルソン・マンデラのことを、歌ったっていうか題材にしたマディバから少し聴いてください。 ディーバをネイサン・イーストのアルバムから聴いていただいてます。また別の折に全部かけますけど、全部かけると8分もある曲ですからね。Maybe we can just run down some of the musicians who are playing on this track.
Yes, we have David Paich on keyboards, also Jeff Babko, Tim Carmen, Ricky Lawson, the late Ricky Lawson on drums, and which we were really sad to see him. He passed away last year, so
that's right. Yeah,
sad to see him go. And these Michael Thompson on guitar. These are some of the LA.
I had to fade it just before your bass solo started, didn't I? Talk about bad timing.
Well, actually, there's 3 bass solos, so your timing's perfect. They had to talk me into these.
Well, we'll play it all the way through another time.
No, I appreciate this. This is the first time it's ever being played on the radio, so thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It certainly won't be the last time. Thank you very much for coming in this morning. Anyway.
Oh, it's great to be here.
How many more gigs do you have on this tour with Clapton?
Well, we have a few more here in Japan. We're going to Nagoya and Osaka, and then coming back one final show at the Budokan this Friday.
That's right.
Then we go to Thailand, Singapore, Dubai, and Bahrain.
Okay.
Yes, so it's a pretty extensive tour.
Right. And Eric Clapton, of course, is saying that this is probably going to be his last world tour. He's going to be turning 70 next year, right?
Next year, yes.
Yeah.
So we hope that it isn't.
Yeah.
Because he has so much music inside of him. And I'm not sure what else I would rather do, than play music until my last days.
Yeah, right. What's your next project after this tour?
Well, actually, I'm coming right back here with the group TOTO.
Oh, right.
So I'll be here in April.
Oh.
April and May. So in between that, we're going to, organize a couple of CD release situations for the record. And I'm actually recording, starting work on my second one already because we recorded about 26 songs.
Okay.
This one. So we're in process of volume 2 right now.
Okay, you're going to be Mr. Workaholic.
for the time being.
Learning the trade from Phil Collins.
Exactly. The hardest working man in show business, Phil Collins.
Nathan East, thank you very much for coming in this morning. It's been
Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Barakan Morning. .1 The Real Music Station InterFM
今日のネイサン・イーストのインタビューではもちろん全部リアルタイムで訳すことはできなかったんですけど、今思い出してね、面白かったのはね、バリー・ホワイトの話しようと思ってね、サテンソウルっていう曲かけましたよね、はい、それであなたはこれに参加してたかってまだタイトルも何も言わないからね、しばらく聞いて俺だ
言ってましたね
で そのレコードのことをね完璧に忘れてたみたいですね。もちろん自分がバリー・ホワイトの仕事をしていたっていう記憶はあってもいろいろと話してくれたんだけど、いやーこの曲のことを思い出させてくれてよかった、ありがとうって言って感謝されたくらいだから本当にちょっとびっくりしたんですね。
この曲なんだっけって言ってましたよね。
そうだからタイトル言ってあげたらね、これちょっと手に入れようって言ってやっぱ気に入ってたんですね。
あれだけいろんな人の音楽に携わるとそういうことが起こるんですね。
でもまだまだねすごく若かった時期の、彼がねバリー・ホワイトのバンドでやって、バリー・ホワイトっていうとすごくこう太ってたし、なんかこうちょっとイメージ的には何なんだろうね、こう油切った感じがちょっとあったんですけど、やってる音楽はとにかくね画期的だったんですよね。74、5年頃かな、ストリングスも使ってでしかもすごくこう色っぽいこうファンキーなノリを持ったね、音楽も当時最先端でしたね。若いネイサン・イーストにとってもすごくいい勉強になったんでしょうね。また話してたようにねレイ・パーカー・ジュニアとかね、他にもねまだその頃はそれほど有名ではなかったけれど後には大スターになるような、プレイヤーがいっぱいいたと。さて、あとお伝えしなきゃいけないのは、湯浅学さんの
黒猫ハチくんがお家に戻ってきました。
今朝の3時頃だったそうなんですけど
ちょっと旅に出たみたいですね。よかった。
どこで何をしていたかわからないけれど落ち着いたら聞き出そうと思っているというメールが、入ってきました。
皆さんご協力ありがとうございました。そして名盤片面いい音ライブの参加者も今募集中ですので、引き続きお送りください。
番組のブログに、情報載ってますので、20名の方招待します。
さてこの後10時からバンスケさんのミッドマジックです。引き続きインター FM でお楽しみください。
ではまた明日。
76.1 InterFM, the real music station. InterFM tells you it's 10 o'clock.